Hey guys, how's everyone doing? I am back with another video, another educational beauty video, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I apply SPF and makeup to protect my skin from the sun. So I'm really excited about this video because I do have quite a few of you leaving comments saying, how do I do it? When do I apply it? If I apply SPF skincare and SPF makeup, does it double up and give me extra protection? We're going to go through all of that today. Now, I don't have anything on my skin. I have no skincare, anything, because I really want to show you from scratch exactly how you can protect your skin and exactly how I apply makeup, because I don't want to just show you the skin part, because I feel like that's where people get confused, when do I apply it while I'm applying makeup and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go through it with you today. I'm going to start by adding that this is not necessarily the only right way to do it. There are other ways that you can do it too. This isn't the only way. So I'm making that very clear from the start. So like I said, I don't have anything on my skin. I'm going to get started with my eye cream, and I'm using my Drunk Elephant Sea Tango. I'm just going to apply this along just like the kind of like bone of my eye area, all the way around. Just pat it around. It's so hot in Dubai at the moment, guys. Really, really hot. Like the AC just doesn't seem to be enough at the moment. It's just really hot. By the way, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. It would really mean the world to me. Give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. You can also kind of add things to your watch later playlist, and you can click the little notification bell, because that means you get kind of like notifications every time a video of mine comes out and you don't miss any of my future videos. Now, I've got my eye cream on. I'm going to move on to my niacinamide serum, which currently I'm using the Sturm niacinamide. It's like this little dropper bottle. I'm still kind of like giving this its time to figure out how it is on my skin. It's definitely not bad on my skin, but I saw like drastic results from the Lancer peptide drops, and I'm like, which is also niacinamide, but I'm not seeing those drastic results from this. But equally, I feel like I need to give it a go. So I'm just going to like finish this off before I move on to anything. Now, I always do leave a little while between each layer of my skincare. It doesn't matter about your eye cream because that's on a different area. But now that I've applied my niacinamide serum, I'm going to wait a little while, let that sink into the skin. The worst thing that you can do, whether it is regarding SPF application or anything else, any other kind of skincare, and to get that full effect from the skincare, is to kind of pack it on one after the other without giving it time to settle and sink into the skin. So give it time to really settle into the skin before you move on to your next step. So I feel like this is kind of like it's my skin's really absorbed it. Now, this is where I apply my moisturizer. Some moisturizers do have SPF in it. This one that I'm using today doesn't have SPF in it, but this is my Wind Marrakesh Rich. Now, if you use an SPF a moisturizer which has SPF in it, don't feel like now that you've applied that's it, and you shouldn't be applying any more SPF. You can, but one thing I will say, it doesn't mean it all adds up. Like if I put on SPF 30 now and then later on I put, a BB cream with SPF 30, that doesn't mean you've got SPF 60. So it doesn't accumulate in that way. It does mean, it does help. So it actually does give you kind of protection from the sun, and it does kind of help with the extra protection, but it doesn't necessarily add up, if that makes sense. So I've just smoothed this over my skin, and I'm going to let that sink into the skin now. Okay, so I'm going to stick to doing base today, because obviously we're talking about how I apply my SPF and how I apply my makeup as well. I'm not going to be talking about brows, eyes, lips, because those things don't really ever include SPF anyway, and I really just want to focus on what we're talking about today, which is SPF and makeup application. So we're going to focus on our base today. Now, I feel like my moisturizer has more or less kind of like really settled down. I don't feel like there's any residue on my skin. I don't feel like there's any greasiness or anything. I feel like it's in place. So I'm going to move on to the next step. The next step is my SPF. Now, this is where I'm going to grab my Lancer SPF. This is my Mineral Sun Shield. It's a universal tint. Even though it says it's a tint, I don't feel like it really is, because the tint is kind of like pink and it's not, there's no shade range. So I just feel like it just gives you a bit of a peachy tint. So it's great if you're kind of pale skin, but for me, it's just going to look weird. So I just ignore the fact that it's like a tint and I still use my makeup on top. So this is SPF 30 High. Now I am going to apply this with my fingers. Now what I do is I use a generous amount of this. Now I've got like a pea-sized amount, and you're going to see that this does kind of, it is very white for me, but I really focus on getting an even amount everywhere. Especially, you know, these areas where I can tell that I get sunspots. So like my nose, the higher parts of my cheekbone. I'm going to apply a little bit more. Sometimes I do go in with a little bit extra, and it all depends. Like, say for example, if I'm wearing a cap, I don't really apply much on my forehead. But can you see how like white my face has gone now? So it has that kind of like weird tint to it, but I'm fine with it because I'm going to apply makeup anyway. Now I feel like I've kind of got like a good layer. Like I can see this is kind of covered my face fully. Like the good thing about the tint part of this is it does tell me that I've applied it everywhere properly. Again, I let this kind of sink into the skin. I don't go immediately on with my makeup because it's just all going to mix together and it's all going to just look a bit kind of wishy-washy. So I do allow this to do its thing, settle into the skin. Now, as you guys know, you're meant to kind of like reapply SPF every 3 hours or so. It does depend on your SPF. So like there are some, very few, but some SPFs which say, you know, you apply every 4 or 5 hours. But you know, I would say the majority is that you can apply it, like you have to apply every 3 hours or so. So if you're outside for a prolonged period of time, I would probably recommend getting like getting like an SPF powder. I feel like Shiseido do a good one as well, or something like that you can actually use to reapply, because you're really not going to walk around with cream SPF or like a foundation with SPF in it and start using that in the middle of the day, right? I'm never really outside for more than 3 hours, because unless I'm sunbathing, and in which case I'm probably not wearing much makeup anyway. This for me is a day-to-day kind of like way of applying my SPF. So now that I've applied that and I feel like, okay, it's kind of like settled in again, I always use the backs of my hands to kind of check, because sometimes when you look in the mirror, it isn't going to give you a good kind of idea. So now this is where I move on to my makeup, and I currently am using, I'm kind of alternating between a few different products, but I am using my Herborian Super BB cream, and this actually has SPF 20 in there. So this also has SPF in there. And like I said, I've put on SPF 30. This is SPF 20. That doesn't mean now that after I've applied this, I have SPF 50 on. It doesn't mean that at all. What it does mean is that you do get good sun protection. You've kind of like almost, I wouldn't say doubled up, but you've kind of added that additional layer. So it does help. It's a better help than applying it, like applying one of them, but it also doesn't kind of accumulate and add up to a certain number of SPF. So okay, I've got my BB cream here. Now what I usually do is apply this with a brush. I do use my Sigma F47 brush. Now I like to actually apply this before I put any concealer on, because what I like to do is kind of just ensure that I've got this on more or less everywhere, other than like right on my eyelids and directly under my eyes, that I've got it on everywhere. Whereas if I was to put my concealer on first and then I go on with this, I feel like I can't brush it on because I'm going to ruin where I've applied my concealer. And if I use a sponge, I'm really not kind of, I feel like I'm not getting it on a lot of the eye area that I'm missing out, if that makes sense. So like, hopefully that will make sense too. So anyway, I've got a little bit of this on my brush, and this is where I just brush this on now. So can you see, I do go under the eyes, but I don't go like really close to my lash line. I'm just going to go over half my face first. See how that tint from that Lancer SPF, it doesn't really do anything, to be honest, but you know, you can't see it once you've applied your makeup on. See how now we've got that really nice coverage there, and I feel like I've got that protection as well from this. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this on the other side. And then I'm going to show you, like, I'll apply my concealer so you can see. Now that we've done that, I'm just going to use a concealer. I'm using my Too Faced Born This Way in Warm Beige, and I'm going to just add a little bit to my, just because I'm doing a very light base today, just a little bit to my eyelids, and then buff this in with my sponge. And like I said, I'm going for a very light natural base. I'm not like doing much baking or anything like that. Just using my brush, my Real Techniques brush, and my Makeup Forever setting powder. And then a little bit underneath. See, now that I'm applying my concealer here, as you can see, like I've already applied my BB cream everywhere. So I feel like I've got that protection as close as to my eyes as I possibly could do. It's not going to end up disrupting my concealer because my concealer is going over. You can use a brush or anything you want to kind of like buff this in. This is just to give me, you know, like cover up those dark circles because they're not looking too great. Okay, there you go. So lastly, just going to add a little bit of powder like we have been doing. So I'm going to get my veil brush from Hourglass. Just going to dust this over. As you can see, the base is completely done. You can do your brows, you can do whatever you want with this base now. Now, on top of this, you can go ahead and kind of like sculpt if you want to. So I'm just going to quickly sculpt my face so you guys can see. This is the Fenty Sunstalker in Shady Biz. And you can like use cream or powder blush. Just a little bit, just to sculpt the cheekbones. There you go. So obviously brows are not done, but I really do hope this is kind of like explained to you, you know, how you can apply your sunscreen, how you can apply your makeup. It doesn't mean that you have to do it in this order. Like for example, I would, just to be safe, my opinion is that if you've got a moisturizer, which is SPF, and you're using like maybe a BB cream or a foundation which has got SPF in it, just carry on as normal. Don't think to yourself, oh, just because I've got SPF in my foundation, I don't have to apply SPF in my just because you've got SPF in your moisturizer doesn't mean you have to use foundation with SPF. I would still carry on as normal. At the end of the day, you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your skin from the sun, and even if you have kind of doubled up, like I said, doesn't mean that you've doubled up the number of the SPF, but it does give you more protection. I really do hope this has kind of explained it. Like for me now, my skin is ready to hit the sun. I'm ready for it to go out. I'm not worried about, you know, that sun protection because I know that I've got it in my kind of in the skincare that I've used and also in the foundation that I've used as well. Personally, I really love using BB creams and CC creams when it comes to sun protection because I feel like this gives you that little bit of kind of coverage. I mean, the Borean Super BB is great, by the way, because it gives you like its full coverage. It's just something which I feel when you do have the harsh sun, so especially in the summertime, you don't want your face to look cakey either, and this is a great option. So I would highly recommend things like CC creams and BB creams. They're absolutely great and I absolutely love them. I really do hope you've enjoyed this whole kind of tutorial. I hope you've kind of understood things about SPF and it's made it a little bit easier to explain. I always feel like the whole SPF subject is a bit of a black hole because people get really confused about it, understandably too. So don't feel like, okay, why am I not getting this? It is completely normal, but hopefully I have made it a little bit easier to understand and kind of made your whole routine easier. Now, I do also have an Instagram account. Please do head over to my Instagram, say hi to me. I know a lot of you guys are already over there and you say hi and I see your comments and I love it. It's just so amazing seeing you guys on other platforms too. And oh my God, I'm on Threads now as well. So come say hi there. There's a bit more, it's more to do with conversation, thoughts, a bit more kind of, you know, just conversation going on there. And yeah, on my Instagram, we've got like unboxing, reels, all sorts going on. So come say hi there too. Now, if you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. And until the next video, take care and I'm going to see you soon.